The official unemployment rate decreased in the third quarter. Data from SABC shows the unemployment rate was at 32.1% in the quarter, down from 33.5% in the second quarter. Despite the slight decline, the country's unemployment levels remain high. SABC says there was an increase of 294,000 in the number of employed persons. The number of discouraged job seekers, however, representing those who have given up looking for work, increased by 160,000. The increase in jobs were both in the formal and informal sectors. The largest increases were recorded in community and social services, representing government, followed by construction and trade. Decreases in employment were recorded in finance, private households, as well as manufacturing. For more on this now, we're joined by Labour Consultant Tony Healy. Tony, good afternoon to you and thank you so much for your time. How significant is this decrease, given the fact that the unemployment levels remain high in the country?
Yeah, good afternoon. Look, I think at face value, we need to welcome what we're seeing in terms of this decrease, but that's moderated by the fact that we still have over 600,000 more unemployed this time this year than this time last year. And secondly, the actual number or the expanded definition of unemployment has moved higher to the extent that you could actually argue that unemployment has increased during this quarter.
And we're hearing from SABC that the mismatch between the people's skills and the jobs that are on offer continues to be one of the challenges. It's not a new thing. We've been hearing about, this over time now. But are we taking the right steps as a country to be able to address this?
Yeah, great question. I mean, if you look at the actual numbers on this quarter, and you'll see this repeated quarter after quarter, is that graduates have the lowest unemployment rate, and those without matric have the highest unemployment rate. So education is is definitely important, and even geographic location. I mean, the Western Cape has an unemployment rate of less than 20%, whilst all other provinces are somewhere between 30 and 36.
And when it comes into the discouraged job seekers, I mean, representing those who have given up looking for work, an increase of 160,000. What does the fact that we're not able to bring this number down tell us?
I think it tells us that it's a consequence of many, many years of policy which has just not promoted economic growth to be able to absorb the number of job seekers that we have. You know, it's interesting, if you look over the last even 40 years, we've had unemployment in this country of approximately 20% or higher for almost 40 years. One positive or two positives, I think, in terms of today's statistics are, firstly, we're seeing a positive reaction to the absence of load shedding. So we have electricity security, which is a good thing. And secondly, if you look at the last 40 years, the time during which our unemployment rate was at its lowest was when we had the previous government of national unity, at which time it averaged out about 10% lower than what it is at the moment, which is still high. But I think that there's some reason for cautious optimism by virtue of the fact that we have another government of national unity, and if history is anything to go by, that should impact positively on job growth.
And let's stay with what you just said, because some of the economists are saying that it's also a combination of improved sentiment, better electricity production, the formation of a government of national unity, the lower interest rates, and an increasing focus on infrastructure development. This, they say, can start to encourage a broader increase in private sector fixed investments as well as job creation in South Africa. Would you agree with those who share the sentiment?
Absolutely. All of those factors are going to make a positive change. The question really is how quickly. You know, we have, as I mentioned, we have over 600,000 more unemployed than this time last year. So we need to move the needle quickly. And I think there's other things that can happen. We could lessen the very high regulation in our labor laws, in addition to everything else that you said. But I think generally speaking, absolutely, I think that the indications are that we're moving in the right direction. I think the real question will it be quickly enough for the 8-odd million unemployed in the country?
And I suppose it's one thing to also move, but it's another to then ensure that the sustainability here, in order for us to sustain these jobs going into the future and not lose them.
Yes, I think so. And if you look economically in terms of where South Africa fits and what influences our economy, it has more to do really with China than the US. And China's going through a difficult patch at the moment, and they are a big customer in terms of our natural resources. So that's a little discouraging. But look, as a commentator and someone who follows these things over time, I think generally speaking, there's room for cautious optimism.
And I suppose, Tony, another layer of this conversation also needs to be what we often hear about, which is entrepreneurship, and also ensuring that businesses are able to absorb as many people as possible. But also they are complaining that sometimes they're finding that they've got stringent measures and are not able to conduct business as effectively as they would be able to, in order to be able to also absorb the number of young people that need jobs. So if we don't look at that as well, it could also continue to cause problems for us as a country, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, unemployment is going to be tackled through the small, medium, and macro-sized businesses. And you're absolutely right. It is a nightmare to try and start and maintain a business in this country in terms of the amount of regulation that we have. And that discourages and disincentivizes entrepreneurs. There's no doubt that, in my view, that if we could deregulate to a degree and make it easier for entrepreneurs to open and maintain businesses, that would definitely have a positive impact on job growth. If we look at unemployment at the numbers that we have and the levels that we have to do something radically different. We can't keep on repeating what we've done for the last 30 or 40 years, otherwise we're going to stay at late 30% unemployment rates. We need to make significant policy changes in order to turn the needle in the right direction.
Certainly, as you say, radically different is what is needed right now, and urgent, radical different steps that need to be taken in order to address this. Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate your insights this afternoon. That was Labour Consultant Tony Healy. We're talking about this issue of the unemployment levels in the country remaining high. You think about the number of young people right now who are unemployed, and certainly just watching these figures. So something drastic needs to happen to try and deal with this situation. But that's where we leave it with him.